Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're celebrating 30 years of Portrait of an American Family by Marilyn Manson. So another anniversary series album review for the channel. We've done a bunch of these this year already, and we got another one for you. So now we're doing Marilyn Manson. And I'm not new to this album. TV Fish is actually new to this album, which is I found very unique and interesting.
I'm a big fan of the music, but for some reason I just never got around to checking this specific album out. I've heard all of the other ones.
Yeah.
Just not this one for some reason. So it worked out that we're doing this, and now I've listened to it.
Yeah. So this is not new to me, but the weird thing for me is I listened to this album much later into Manson's career. I didn't hear it when it was new. I was 2 or 3, 4 albums in Manson before I went back and listened to this. So for me at a time, it was a weird trip listening to this album because his sounds progressed over the years from album to album. There's different sounds, different vibes, different personality you can hear. And going back and listening to this, you definitely see he was in a different headspace when he wrote this album, he wrote these songs. The album's basically, in my opinion, a drug trip, right? It's heavily focused on drugs and drug-related things, and basically, it's from the mind of somebody who's tripping out. Basically, the mind of somebody who's, under the influence of some LSDs or
just a very psychedelic album.
Type of stuff. Yeah. And there's reoccurring themes, like even the song "Dope Hat." Like, dope is drugs. It's not dope as in like, yo man, that's so dope. It's like, it's his drug hat. But this whole song is about, it's basically what a person who's tripping out is seeing. And it's just all these things are unfolding before him. There's a couple of themes on this album that I noticed, and not even on this album, but for this band in general at the time, that I thought was kind of weird. And one of them is a weird obsession with children. And I'm just gonna point out a few things here, and it's something that I've noticed before, but after listening to this album with a critical ear this week, I was starting to go, wow, there's really a lot of stuff here. So for one, they were called Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids first.
Yeah.
That's what they were called. There's several points of the album where he refers to himself as a child. Like in Get Your Gun, he refers to himself as a little girl. In Snake Eyes and Sissies, he refers to himself as a little boy. There's a kid that does the intro of Lunchbox. In Dope Hat, the children love the show. There's kids singing in My Monkey. There's a lady yelling at a kid at the end of Misery Machine. There's just a lot of weird kid references. And if you take this even further, you go to the next album, which was Smells Like Children.
Well, that was an EP, but it was still the following.
Whatever,
release.
Smells Like Children. Then you have the first track on that was The Hands of Small Children. Then you have Organ Grinder, which was remixed into Kitty Grinder. There's just a lot of these weird references to children. I thought that was really weird, and I was trying to figure out why that was there and what the real connection was. Like, is he trying to tap into kids or relate to kids or something? Because this is not really kid-friendly music. There's a lot of dirty themes and language
and a
on
lot
here.
of politically charged stuff in here too. I think a part of it is because he's going for a certain aesthetic, like an evil Willy Wonka. And I know that is the inspiration for why the Prelude, the Family Trip sounds like that. It's like, I wanted to, I read about it. He was saying he wanted to tap into what freaked people out about the boat ride in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, what freaked people out about that.
Yeah.
He wanted to basically have people kind of relive that kind of eeriness and that fear. And funny thing about that track is that when I first heard it, on the first listen, I'm like, man, this is gonna get old fast. Did it? It didn't. It actually got way better. I thought it set the tone really well.
Yeah.
The performance in it's really nice. It did remind me of this creepy boat ride from Willy Wonka, and I think that is kind of the vibe, like this creepy circus Willy Wonka thing. Even Smells Like Children, like the font is based on Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the aesthetic.
Very twisty letters and curly letters.
It's I think that's kind of like the vibe, like evil, scary, carnival, Willy Wonka kind of deal. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that the prelude like grew on me because I totally heard it first. I'm like, okay, this is cool. It sets the tone, but like I'm gonna get bored of this. But I didn't.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
one
it
of
was
those preludes that it's technically a skippable track because there's no real music involved. But you almost don't want to skip it.
No, because
it does such a good job
grows.
at putting you in the mood for what's gonna come next.
And then we just like, yes! Like that part's just, oh man, dude, this is crazy. It's such a cool intro. But, you know, if we're going to talk about some other tracks, you did mention a few already. Misery Machine, I think that's a fine song, but it has like a bunch of space of nothing at the end because it's got like
a couple samples and stuff.
Hidden samples. Like, it's the kind of thing where you listen to it on the CD, you're listening to it on the tape, it ends, you think it's over, and then you hear something in, like, whoa, what the hell? There was something there. But I feel like with digital media, that does not work. Because you'll see this track is 13 minutes as soon as you open up the album. You're like, what the hell is a 13-minute song? No, it's a 5-minute song with nothing at the end.
Yeah.
So it kind of just ruins the song.
It almost works if you're kind of like busy doing something and you kind of forget it's on and it ends and you're kind of just too focused on something and then it happens. But if you look at it, yeah, you can definitely see that there's room left. So
yeah, and it's like, there's really nothing interesting there either. There's like an angry voicemail at the end. Wow.
Spoiler.
Like, yeah. Whatever. This album's been out for 30 years. I'm sure people have heard the angry voicemail.
Yeah.
But you know, so, and then it's like, I feel like the track itself is just kind of a fine track. It's not really one that really stands out necessarily among the others.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily my least favorite track.
What is your least favorite track?
My Monkey. And then my reasoning for that is that it feels a little too gimmicky and too kooky.
Yeah.
For my preference of what sounds good on the album to me. It just feels like it's a little try-hard with the chipmunk voices and all this whatever.
Kid voices? More children stuff?
Yeah.
Kids,
I mean, there's
kids
kids singing.
So at the beginning of the song, what's the instrument that's being played? Is it a trumpet?
Yeah, it sounds like it
sounds like a trumpet, but it sounds a little bit weird. You want to know an interesting thing about this song? Some of the verses were actually taken from a song called Mechanical Man, which was written and performed by Charles Manson in the 60s.
Yes. That's clever, especially because of the namesake of the band, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's
add some flair to the song, but I agree with you. My Monkey is kind of a dud on this album.
It's just like, it comes on, I'm just like...
It's a little bit too out of place.
I mean, it has a unique spot on the album, but for me, it's just too gimmicky and kooky. I'm like,
I believe My Monkey is also a fan favorite, I believe.
Really?
I think so.
Y'all picked the wrong favorite.
I've seen some people on Reddit talking about this song like, as if it's like a sleeper kind of thing.
If we're gonna talk about what the real favorites are, at least for me.
Go ahead.
I really like Dope Hat, actually. That song,
Dope Hat's sick.
the groove in that, the kind of shuffle they got going on, the like kind of the creepy like theremin sounding thing, I feel like that perfectly encapsulates the vibe that this album's going for. Like if you want to know what is really the kind of essence that this album's trying to capture, that song is the perfect example. I feel like it gives you everything you need to know about this album.
It was one of the singles. We
Yeah.
have a video for it. And I agree. This is the encapsulation of this album is in that song.
I remember
for sure.
reading that even in that music video, I haven't watched it, but I remember reading that he tried to emulate Willy Wonka in it, which is still part of the whole aesthetic, like this evil Willy Wonka, so to speak. So I really liked that track. Snake Eyes and Sissies, I really like the riff in that one. I really like the chorus, very infectious, very catchy. Every time it comes on, it's a nice groove. And so those are a few examples of songs I liked. One big thing with this album, and you know, this is from the perspective of someone who's heard literally everything else that isn't this, is that it's very straightforward. You know, there's a lot of kind of like, there's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say grandiose, but there's a lot more atmosphere in the like songs for other records. Like for example, you listen to Antichrist Superstar and there's like a completely different vibe going on there. With this, a lot of it is like a lot of straightforward, you know, kind of industrial metal going on there. So, but you hear it and it still has the character you know the band for. So it doesn't feel like it's a completely separated experience from the rest of the discography.
I think it just got more industrial as it went on in a way.
Yeah, but it's like, you listen, like, Mechanical Animals was pretty different, but you listen to this,
And
Antichrist and Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it all sounds like the same band.
Yeah,
You know?
you throw Golden Age in there, and it
Golden
also,
Age, it started to change.
It starts to change, but yeah, that's why his discography is so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just. Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like the era from here all the way through Hollywood is kind of like the same band, and you can tell. And I think that's cool because, I mean, it's pretty clear that he the whole band really blew up with Antichrist Superstar.
Yeah.
Although there's stuff that's popular from here.
I mean, it blew up because of Sweet Dreams, which was on Smells Like Children.
That's true,
And
that's
then
true.
from there-
But then Antichrist came out and it's blah.
Yeah.
But it's cool that this fits in. It doesn't feel like, oh yeah, that's the first album. It's just kind of like its own thing. Like, no,
Yeah.
it fits with everything
It
else.
does, yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. There's this one groove, the groove in Organ Grinder, where the guitar kind of goes down, up, and then up, down. Like do 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 do.
Oh yeah.
Where it does that.
There's a lot of stuff like that on this
I
album.
like
though.
that. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool. I guess another song that I kind of have notes here for is Sweet Tooth, but the only thing is that it's like a fine song, but I kind of don't think it really needs a minute of build. It kind of doesn't really.
That
like,
hurts the song for me.
Why is that there?
At the beginning, it's about a minute of silence. There's some noises and stuff, but it just, yeah, it hurts the song to have all that at the beginning of the track. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although the riff in that track, I don't know if you caught this or know it, but it's the riff from the '60s Batman theme.
I'd have to hear it again to really.
I mean, it might be not exact, but it's like, and tempo-wise, it's not the same, but it's na 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 na.
Okay, I guess
essentially that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Which I always liked that. I always thought it was cool. Another cool thing about that song, that one part where he does that effect where they chop out like it's like every other eighth note or something like that, and it makes his voice all choppy. Like he records a line and they just chop out every other eighth note, and it just makes it go.
Yeah, like the stuttering kind of thing.
Stuttering kind of thing. I thought that was a really cool effect. But behind it, he's also doing a whisper that's not chopped up. So you're hearing that as well, and it's kind of coming through each other eighth note. I thought that was really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
The singles were good. I mean, Dope Hat I already talked about. Get Your Gun's a fun song, and Lunchbox is also really good. I feel like there's kind of like a stretch in the first half of like really solid songs, and I think the real strength starts from Lunchbox. I think that's a really fun song. And
You don't like
chorus is
Cake and
fun.
Sodomy? I thought Cake and Sodomy was a great.
Oh, it's
intro
good.
track.
It's good.
Yeah.
I just, it ramps up
Lunchbox
even
is
more.
where it kicks up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but Cake and Sodomy, that's a good track as well.
For Cake, I just love the drum intro, and like it's nothing too spectacular, but I just love how percussion-driven the song is, and it really sets the tone because it's a very percussion-driven album too. It's very poundy on the drums.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I really like about it. Lunchbox was my introduction to this album. Seeing that video and going, okay, this is the first song I'm seeing. This is cool. It's crazy. Who's this Marilyn Manson guy? No, I'm kidding because I already knew who he was. But that's what a lot of people were probably thinking at the time because the guy's a weird dude and he's doing weird things and he's wearing lipstick all over his face and he's got the contacts in and trend setting, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I really like about this song, Lunchbox, is just its authenticity in that it's just like a literal song about fighting back against bullies. And that's what it's about. And I feel like, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like it's playing a thematic homage to I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister, where if you listen to that song, it's got, at the beginning of the video, it's got the dad who's berating the kid saying, what are you gonna do with your life? You're a loser, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And the kid's like, I wanna rock. Like, I just wanna be a rock star. Yeah. And I feel like the song's like a reflection for a lot of youth who basically turn to alternative and metal music to get away from the brutalities of reality. This is a song about that, about those kids. So I think a lot of people can relate to it in that way. And I just think it sounds like it's an anthemic song, but it's got a lot of meaning behind it too. And even though it sounds simple, it's pretty deep in its philosophy, I guess. So I really like it for that reason. And you already mentioned Dope Hat. I think Dope Hat's a great song. You mentioned the stuff I liked about it, right? So I'm not going to double down on that. Get Your Gun is also great. The bass line on the song is sick. I like the line where he says, I hate therefore I am, which is a play on I think therefore I am, which is philosopher Rene Descartes line. I just like that, I hate therefore I am. That's kind of a cool way to play on that. Wrapped in Plastic is a song that never, like listening to this album in the past, it's not a song that really stood out to me too much, but through this week it started growing on me more and more and more. I think vocally it's my favorite song on the album. I think he definitely belts it out the most in this song, and He has, I don't know, just, it feels like there's a lot more passion in his vocal performance on this song. So I really like that aspect of it. Again, another one with really good bass lines. There's good bass lines all over this album. Yeah, I don't know, what else? Cyclops I thought was fine.
Cyclops was good.
Sweet Tooth I thought was decent, but yeah, at the beginning we talked about that already. Yeah, so my best stretch basically is track 6 through 9, which is Dope Hat, Get Your Gun, Wrapped in Plastic, and Dogma. That's a 4-song stretch, but I also like the first 3 songs, Cake and Sodomy, Lunchbox, and Organ Grinder. Those are also great. The last 3 songs on the album I thought were meh, right? Snake Eyes and Sissies, My Monkey, and Misery Machine were all fine, but none of them really had anything that was standoutish enough to me. So
yeah, Snake Eyes and Sissies, that was one of the higher rated tracks for me, just because like that chorus is so fun. The riff is fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun song.
It just didn't do anything great for me, but it is what it is. I don't know.
So let's get to rating this album. What do you give Portrait of an American Family?
So let's see, 13 tracks. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So over 7 tracks I really liked, and 3 tracks I thought were good, but not phenomenal. And then a few that were like, fine, but whatever. So based on that, and based on my scoring of those tracks, this album lands at a nice, hefty toe tag.
All right. For myself, I found that this album had a lot of really fun songs on it. A lot of really enjoyable moments. I did kind of feel like at a point though, a lot of the songs kind of started to just sound like, okay, they would come and go. There'd be some that just didn't feel like there was anything notable about them, but the ones that did have notable stuff were great. So unfortunately, it's not gonna get a toe tag for me, but it's gonna land at a 7, which is right basically at the doorstep.
It's at the doorstep. The only other closer score you can get is a 7.5.
Yeah.
So it's right there. Anyways, guys, that's it for this review. It's a toe tag for me and a 7 from TV Fish. We want to know your thoughts after 30 years. How much have you guys listened to this album? Leave your thoughts down below. Let us know what you would score this album. And subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
We'll see you guys in the next one.